In the end of August, I said goodbye to my Sony Zeiss 16-70 f4 and went straight to the camera store to pick up this, the Sony G18-105. And now, almost 2 months later, do I regret making the switch? Well, let's talk about it. Hi there, my name is Carl, thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about this lens and why I think this is the best zoom lens you can get for the money for Sony's APS-C lineup. Before I start blabbering on about this lens, let me just say I don't think the Zeiss 16-70 is a bad lens in itself, but it certainly wasn't the right lens for me. It may be for you, but it wasn't for me, and hopefully in the end of this video you will know which one you're going to pick up if you're in the market for a zoom lens. Please note that this is not going to be a review on any of the lenses, but more of a comparison based on my personal experiences with both of the lenses. Let's start with the price so we can keep that in the back of our heads while we talk about the features. At least here in Sweden, the Zeiss is about 50% more expensive than the Sony G, with $900 for the Zeiss and $600 for the Sony G. So with that in mind, let's get going. As we established by now, both are zoom lenses, but there are some major differences between them, as for example, the Zeiss is a grower and the Sony G is a shower, meaning it does not extend while zooming. And for some of you, that's going to be an important difference. The pros and cons of the Zeiss is, while fully retracted, it takes less space in your camera bag, but since the inner barrel extends while zooming, it's easier to get dust inside of the lens. Another con of the Zeiss is if you're using it on a gimbal, you're going to have to rebalance it if you want to zoom, because the center of balance will move forwards. And since this lens does not extend, that's not a problem. My Zeiss lens also has a major creeping, which is when the lens extends from gravity. Let's say, for example, if you're walking and pointing the camera downwards, the gravity will pull the lens outwards, which can be pretty annoying. This is a pretty common problem with extending zoom lenses, but an easy fix is to take a wide rubber band and putting it over the zoom ring and the body, and it will usually help it stay put. And as I think I have mentioned, since the Sony G does not extend, you don't get any of these problems I mentioned with the Zeiss, for the cost of it being a bit bigger and a bit heavier. Another win for the Sony G is the 50% extended range on the tight end, with 105mm to the Zeiss 70mm, for the price of being 2mm tighter on the wide end, with 18 to the Zeiss's 16. And this may not seem like a big difference, but for some people every millimeter is important. The Sony G also have the power zoom rocker, if you're into that kind of thing. I prefer the zoom ring, but it can come in handy at times. Like, let's say if you put it on a gimbal, like the DJI Ronin SC, you can control the power zoom with the focus wheel. So, what about the sharpness? I mean, the Zeiss must be so much sharper, right? Well, not nearly as sharp as you think it'd be, especially for that price. I remember one day getting back from making lunch outside with Ida and snapping some photos at something like 50 or 70mm at f4, and seeing the pictures, they were quite a bit softer than I think they'd be. At 16mm it's as sharp as you think it'd be, but at some of the other focal lengths the sharpness was quite a bit uneven, which is probably what made me glance at the 18-105 in the first place. So I did what you always should do when considering buying gear. I watched a bunch of videos and reviews, and sure, the 18-105, it is softer, but for my use that's not a problem, and if you stop it down it gets just as sharp as I need it to be. Conclusion: I did not make this video to shit on the size. It's a pretty solid lens, but I don't think it's worth $900. The Sony G is perfect for me, and even if they were priced the same, I would still recommend the Sony G. Everyone has different needs. Maybe the size is better for you. I think that pretty much wraps it up. Please tell me your thoughts down in the comments, and maybe you had similar experiences with these lenses, or maybe you think I'm completely wrong about this, so let's hear it, let's talk it out. If you found this video helpful in any way or just mildly entertaining, please hit that like button. If you found this video to be the worst you've seen in all of 2020, please smashing that dislike button, I would highly appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this, give that subscribe button a little click, and make sure to check out my other videos on camera gear and similar topics. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.